Okay, so in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to take the UPC codes that we wrote onto the micro SD card in activity number 4, and we're going to write them out to a database. I've set up a little inventory table on a MySQL database, and we're just going to write those out. Let's go over the code pretty quick. Shouldn't be anything new in here. In fact, it's really just kind of putting a couple of things together. So we've said we've got our libraries, our header files we're pulling in. We're setting up our ESP. Remember, we're using the ESP 8266 in this series of lessons. We've gone through our file. We've got our file object, my file. We've set up what we need for the making our requests in our setup. Set our baud rates for both the 9600. We've got our send data, our ESP commands, 8266 commands. Then we have our initializing the SD card, and we're going to go through and everything looks good. Then we're going to open up UPC log. Remember, in the last activity, we had some trouble because I hadn't realized that we were limited to 8 characters. Kind of reminds me of the old DOS format. But I have a file out there, UPC log, that's got the same 5 product codes. So we'll write those, and we're just going to loop through here. Now, one thing to keep in mind, though, we're reading up each string until we get a new line character, and then I've got to trim it. I don't want to be sending that across the line. So then I just do my send get request. I hold off for 5 seconds, and then we loop through there again and close the file, and then when we're done, we're done. The thing to remember, we're doing all of this in the setup, nothing in the loop. And then all of our send data, we've got that function there, and then we've got down here our send get request. So everything that you've seen before. Let me go through on the other side of this, the database here. It's a pretty simple database. We'll have a little bit more developed database when we get to lesson 4, but this just goes through the mechanics to see how we're going to write to it. Here is the script, the PHP script. Real straightforward. If you've done setup before with databases, you're good. You know what we have to do. Obviously, the password is some bogus thing right now that I've set up just for the sake of this video. But you're going to create your connection, make sure you don't get an error. We're pulling down our UPC from our get string, then we're just going to insert it into the inventory table. And if everything goes well, it gets echoed back that we've created it successfully. So let's get back into the Arduino here. Let's fire this thing up and see how it works for us. So let me go ahead and I'm going to load it. And let me do that again. Compiling the sketch here, it's uploading. Let's go ahead and open up our serial monitor. And we should be okay. Let me go ahead into the serial monitor again. There we go. And we'll start seeing our AT commands. And we're just going to have to kind of wait here. It'll go through. I'm connecting to my hotspot. Okay, now I'm going to connect. Okay. I mean, it's kind of tedious watching through it, but I want to make sure that you see what's going on here. We got the sends okay. We are good. This is going to go through here a few times. Again, in fact, it's going to go through 5 times here because that's how many records we've got. So I'll just kind of, I guess maybe what I could have done while I was doing this, showing you the table, but it won't take long. We've got 2 more here that we are going to send here. Now remember, every time I send this, I've got to close and I've got to connect again. But the reason why we're going to do it this way is that you wrote it to the SD card, and then you're just doing a batch job later on. That's really kind of a good way of telling the kids this is how you do it. You want to grab all your data real time, send it to a drive, and then later on, you can do everything kind of in a batch mode, and that way you're not sitting there waiting for it. As opposed to, if we were doing this, we would have to every time that we read a product code, we'd have to wait for it to send across. So we've got it closed. I think this, if I was counting right, I think this might be our last record that we're going to send over, but I could be wrong. So let's see here. What will happen when we're done? That'll be it. I mean, I didn't put anything in there for, oh, you're all done with the 5 records. So now if we go back to our database, and let me close this out, and if I come back in here, close that. In fact, let me see this. If I refresh, because I've got the screen on here, I should see my inventory. So there's loading. So all right, so there's our 5 product codes. They've all got loaded to our table, and that's it. Pretty straightforward. Again, in lesson 4, our database will be a little bit more developed, and then we'll go through and kind of we'll have a couple tables in there. So that does it for this video.